Hi, my name is Brianna Motzkus. I'm from the Fabric Patch in Ephrata, Washington. And I'm just going to take a few minutes and talk to you about iron-on vinyl. So iron-on vinyl is a really cool product that we can use to turn any fabric into a vinyl product. So if we are making a reusable bag of any kind that we want to be able to wipe away, maybe a mat for underneath your high chair, a bag to take to the farmer's market, you can just wipe out when you're finished. I'm going to show you real fast how to use the product and how to make it last. To start, I want to show you some of the fabric options. So there is, faux leather, which is essentially a vinylized material. It is something that you can wipe clean, but it only comes in specific colors and specific textures. So where the iron-on vinyl comes in handy is you can make any of your fabric in your stash wipeable. So you may have seen in maybe your local quilt shop, in a big box store like a Joann's, there are vinyl options. So there's something called oilcloth that you may have seen, where it is an oil-based vinyl on just a generic piece of fabric. Not a great quality of fabric, really, but what it's meant to be is for a picnic tablecloth or something like that. But it's an oil-based vinyl that will happen. Moda fabrics, what we're used to, where we see the most vinyl fabric from, is from Moda. It's 60 inches wide. It's that perfect 60 by 60 gray good that we're used to, that they have ran through a machine and vinylized it for us. So again, it's going to be very specific fabrics that you can choose from and that are already pre-treated. This particular project was a really fun little organizer that is used with an oilcloth pre-determined fabric that you can make. It's very nice, it's very wearable, very wipeable. You could easily get off anything on there that you needed to. Really cool idea for a lunchbox maybe. This one is just a really fun idea for maybe a birthday party. You could turn this into anything. This is one that we used the iron-on vinyl and created our own vinyl fabric. So we took this really cool birthday fabric, treated it with a product, and to make it really cool, we also put on the back side a piece of chalkboard fabric to be able to personalize something if you wanted to. So it's a dual purpose little placemat here. So let me go in real fast and show you how to create your own vinyl fabric. So vinyl fabric comes in two styles. Heat and Bond is the one we carry in our store. You can get an iron-on vinyl in a matte finish or a glossy finish. Now that is entirely up to you. I think what is most important between the matte and the gloss is the fabric you choose. So what's really cool is you do have a grid option. Now the grid option is just for someone who's more of a crafter. If you're someone who doesn't have a rotary cutter, a mat, a ruler, any of that fancy stuff, you can use this grid to really help do all of your cutting for you. Every time you purchase Heat and Bond vinyl, it will come with its own instructions. We sell the vinyl by the yard, 22 inches wide by however much you want, and you will get a set of instructions on how to do it. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you. So all you're going to need is your chunk of vinyl, your piece of fabric of choice. I've misplaced mine. Here's mine. I'm just going to do some cute, neat pins. And you'll also need a pressing sheet of some kind, something to protect your iron. You can use the back side of your vinyl piece, and I'll show you that in a minute, or just anything that's going to be for that you would use for fusible applique, something to make sure that nothing gets stuck to your iron. So what you're going to do first is whatever your project is, if you're making a bag, a pocket, a cute little placemat, what I would suggest you do is cut your fabric a little bit larger. So if you're trying to get maybe a 6 by 12 inch piece, cut your piece like 7 by 13. Give yourself a little bit of extra space so that we can trim it to size once we have treated our fabric. Okay, so I went ahead and I cut a piece of vinyl out. Now I made mine a little bit smaller because I want to show you that you can, if you're using a large piece of fabric, if you're going to use a fat quarter or a half a yard and you want to cover that whole piece of fabric with vinyl and then cut a piece apart your pieces, you can just butt these together, and I want to show you that. What's really nice about the vinyl is it is 22 inches wide, so a fat quarter you could easily cover in one piece. But if you're going to do a large piece, or you need a large piece of fabric to create a bag that you're making, you can definitely butt up these pieces and vinylize an entirely piece of fabric without having any issues. So you're going to work with a pre-washed piece of fabric. If you are going to treat your fabric in any way, whether that is to embroider on it, machine embroider on it, vinylize it, whatever that is, it's a good idea to pre-wash your fabric, just so that after you have treated your fabric however you want to, if you wash that project later, it's going to look as good as it did the moment you made it. So pre-wash your fabric, press it so you don't have any extra wrinkles on it, and then with your vinyl, you're going to peel it apart. So you'll have two little layers. You'll have your paper side. This is just waste. You can use this as your pressing sheet if you want to. I'm going to use my Teflon sheet just because that's what I'm used to, and I know it's going to do what it's supposed to do. And then you have, when we peeled it off, this side's a little tacky. We're going to stick that side down on the right side of our fabric. And you want to keep it on your fabric because we want to vinylize our pressing area. So we're going to lay that down. I'm just going to hand press that down. I'm going to take my pressing sheet here, lay it right on top. Now I have my setting, it says a mild setting. So mine is on wool setting because I don't have a dial, I just have options. So I put mine on wool, and I'm just going to put direct heat, no steam, and just press down, iron on my iron-on vinyl. And then I'm going to take off my pressing sheet, and there it is, all vinylized. Has that nice little layer. Now this is the matte finish, so you can see there's a tad piece of, that matte finish look we're used to. It's not super shiny. There is the glossy style of iron-on vinyl that if you like it nice and shiny, you can do it that way. So this is nice and treated. Now we're ready to cut it out and start sewing. Once you've had it first treated and it's pressed on there nice and good, you can flip this over and press from the wrong side if you want to. And it's not going to transfer to your ironing spot. And they're nice and ironed. So now if we need a little piece to stick on the edge here because we didn't quite make it wide enough, or we miscut or misjudged what our pattern had told us, we can go ahead with what we have here and take another piece of vinyl. I'm just going to straighten this up a little bit. And these are a 1/2 inch grid. So if you are just wanting to count out, do some squares, you can easily use that. I'm going to cut this kind of just in here just a little bit. And same thing, we're going to peel apart and take the tackier side right on top of the right side of our fabric. Put that together. You can overlap it, but I have to say it has a funny look, I think, if you overlap it. I'm going to put my pressing sheet over the top. And again, I don't want to touch directly on what I've already vinylized, so I'm just going to touch on this side. And then we're going to give it a good press. Again, on a mild setting, no steam. So on my iron, mild for me, I suggest wool. Take that off, and there you are. You can see this overlapped just a little bit here, didn't quite connect here. This first original piece wasn't straight when I did it, but you can see all of that right there. It just lines up beautifully. Again, you can totally overlap it if you want. That vinyl will vinylize to itself, and you don't have to worry about it. For me, the finish, I feel like I would see that, and depending on who you're making it for, my guess is they will never know. If you're going to put a nice little baby butt on there and change a diaper, if you're going to put your vegetables in there, you're never going to see that seam that you've created. And then you can just go ahead and cut it just like you would anything else to finish making your project. and you have a beautiful edge, it doesn't peel up from your fabric and it won't separate. And then you'll go ahead and sew it into your project. Now keep in mind, once you have vinylized your fabric, whether you're using an iron-on vinyl, a store-bought vinyl, an oilcloth, once you create your seam and you put those holes from your needle into your fabric, those holes are permanent. That vinyl will not relax and close that hole back up for you. So when you are sewing, be determined that that is where you want your seam to be. You can rip out your seam, but if you have to move your seam allowance, those holes will forever and always be there. So you have that there. The other thing I want to show you is this is one we just had in the store. We have a little a demo area. This is the glossy one. You can see the difference here between the matte and the glossy here. That this one's not as shiny as the glossy one. But this piece is handled a lot and picked on and folded. But what's really nice is if you are having something that you're demoing for your guild or for a friend and you have a piece, or you have prepped a large piece of fabric that you love and it's been stored for a little while and now you're ready to turn it into a project, or it's now just time to make another one, whatever you're doing with it, you can fix this piece. All you have to do, flip it vinyl side down and put your mild heat back onto it. And you'll press out your little wrinkles. You'll re-adhere anything that over time has released due to not being sewn into a project. So I wouldn't consider this a raw edge kind of material like a faux leather is. A faux leather is something that can be super raw edged. Vinyl, I really do think, needs to be sewn all the way around for its longevity. So you can see that wrinkles came totally out that crease and it looks brand new. Oh, I pressed in my raw edge, but I can just peel that off. Peel out my little threads here. So if you're gonna vinyl your fabric, make sure you keep all those strays away. But then we'll just press him back down. And there you are. He's now back to life. Cut him to size you want and sew him into your project. Okay, and that's it. So lots of options. Faux leather, super wipeable, super durable, but limited to texture and color. You can have store-bought stuff, but again, you get what they have, or use that iron-on vinyl and create anything you want and personalize it however you want. So we carry the Heat and Bond. It's linked in the description below. It comes in the matte finish or the glossy, so whatever your heart desires, and it makes it super fun to use. So I hope you try something. I hope you make something. I hope you enjoy it. Something you can try, as I'll play it next for you, is our Easy Grocery Bag. It takes a half a yard of fabric. You can take a half a yard of vinyl, treat your fabric, cut it out, and make a perfect bag to take to the next farmer's market.
Thank you for watching our video. We invite you to leave a comment, hit the like button, or better yet, subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. You can also visit our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or Pinterest pages, or find all of those things and our online store at fabricpatch.net.